Export is our flagship ale, brewed 31 years ago, our first beer we ever brewed. It's the original Shipyard beer, and it's brewed from locally sourced ingredients whenever possible. It's a medium-bodied with a hint of sweetness up front, a subtle yet distinctive hop aroma, and a very clean, crisp finish. It's the perfect beer for any occasion.
Shipyard Export Ale. The first time I ever drank a Shipyard Export Ale was June 15th, 1992 in Kennebunkport, Maine, at Federal Jack's. And it was our first beer we brewed. Alan Pugsley came up with an amazing recipe, with Willamette Cascades Tettnang, two-row British Pale Ale, crystal wheat. And he nailed it. We wanted a beer that people would enjoy, but the Canadians would say, I get that taste. So it was done in the style of Molson Export Ale as it would have been done maybe 100 years ago. So the idea was Alan Pugsley and I talked about a beer that was a little full flavored, was similar to a Bass, but maybe a little more drinkable than a Bass because people loved Bass in this area at the time. Now Bass beer isn't even sold in this area. It's just kind of crazy, right? Bass is almost gone throughout the world, but it was one of the original trademarks, the Bass Triangle. So it was this very drinkable beer, but had enough flavor and it was strong enough to make people go, wow, that's different. And what's funny is people go, oh, I don't like ales. So I said, well, all right, we're going to call it beer because all ale is beer. It's either an ale or a lager, right? But in the early days, in the early 90s, people didn't know that. So it was like one of the original craft beers in America was Shipyard Export Ale. And for many years, it was our only beer that we had in package. And we had it 6-packs, 12-packs, and kegs. But for the first year and a half, we only had kegs. And then we had 5-liter cans that were unlogoed that I would deliver in my S10 Blazer up to RSVP and a few other stores. And then we started doing these 22-ounce bottles. And then it just took off, and then we started doing 12-ounce bottles, and ultimately, we were only in 12-ounce bottles for up until maybe 7, 8, 9 years ago. We started doing it in cans, which is crazy to think. But so Shipyard was still one of my favorite beers and was our original. So,
that's incredible.
Yeah. So what is your favorite style of when somebody says, well, just pour me a flight? If you had to pick your top 4 to give somebody a sample of ours, and what are those?
I would say my top 4 are going to be the Invader Pale Ale.
Invader Pale Ale.
I love that one. The Climb ESB. That is probably my favorite beer on draft right now. The Blood Orange. And then I'm a huge fan of our stout or our golden stout, just to finish it off with a nice creaminess.
Our Bluefin Stout.
Bluefin Stout.
Yeah. What's cool is, I don't know if you knew this, but this logo is of a ship coming through Kennebunkport Harbor in the early 1800s. And that became the front sign of our complex in Kennebunk, where Federal Jack's is. We took a picture of it, and we took a picture of the sign that was on the road. We created the first original 22-ounce label, and it's still going strong here today. Same picture, and it's been redone and evolved. It's really, really gives it, it's the reality and our heritage of the fact they had 12 shipyards along the Kennebunk River, and into the harbor they would launch the ships and have big parties, and every shipyard had a different little thing they focused on, and they'd ultimately put a ship together and launch it as a collaborative ship out the river, and they would travel the world like shipyard beer.
That's incredible.
Well, crazy. Right?
I love it. Full circle.
It's fantastic that we're still here, and it's amazing that this beer today tastes as good as it did that first sip we had at Federal Jack's back in 1992. And that started it all. At that time, we had other beers at the pub, but this one was the only one we sold on the outside. And for many years, it's continued to be my favorite. We have it in cans, 6-packs, bottles, 12-packs. You can order it, and we can ship it directly to you. Go online. Very excited to continue to bring this world-class beer to you. Cheers.